Hi, this is Paula Chilchick from Anecdote Sydney office with another instalment on my article, Stop Presenting the Strategy and Start Communicating It. Now, if you recall, I was talking earlier about a general manager that was delivering a rehearsal of their new strategy at Microsoft. And at one point in his rehearsal, he was wading deeply into corporate speak territory. It was words like, we need to elevate the customer experience to maximize our customer lifecycle value. Did that grab you? Well, it didn't grab anyone in the audience. And the reason for that is we as humans don't like assertions. We're not very receptive to assertions, and we tend to treat them with a little bit of skepticism. Instead, as we mentioned, we prefer to be taken on a journey from one state to another and to use narrative frameworks, because this journey, propelled by a why, we're moving from one state to another, is what creates interest for people. Now, there's many different narrative structures depending on what our attention is, and one, for example, might be a structure that helps us build credibility and connection. Another one might be a structure that helps demonstrate business value, or perhaps we could use a third one that really counts as a particular story or negative narrative that exists within an organization. When we're talking about a strategy story, however, we tend at Anecdote to use a narrative framework called a clarity story. And that clarity story is fairly simple. At a high level, it really begins with an appreciation of where the organization is and all of the good and the bad things, but what's the starting point? And then momentum's built for change, or an urgency is built for change by looking at all the opportunities and the threats and the events that are happening that are making that initial state no longer tenable. So we move from that initial state then to where we're heading, so the new state, and this is a lot more context and a lot more interest because we felt a certain urgency to get there. But not everything goes according to plan, and you want to try and avoid those situations where everything's rosy, because real interest can come from addressing some of the problems that rose with the plan. And once you address those problems, you're then able to finish on a high with a very compelling future. So that's the basic structure of a clarity story, and it's something that's really powerful. I saw it in use in 2018. I was working in-house for Amazon and in executive communications in Seattle, and we were preparing a particular customer to get on stage in front of 10,000 people and share her story of digital transformation. And this was in Las Vegas. Now, we had 10,000 people that were going to listen to her present on the 8 pillars of her strategy, and she was very committed to this digital strategy transformation and the 8 pillars. But unfortunately, asserting 8 pillars is not a journey, and instead we had to find a particular journey within the clarity story framework. We ended up finding one on how her team had helped that particular country, her developing nation, to increase the connectivity in the nations. The more people were wired up, so to speak. And in the past, there'd been real problems with connectivity, and people weren't getting education, medicine, small businesses were failing. So we focused on how her team helped create connectivity and become leaders, not just operational IT department, become leaders in developing connectivity for her nation. So we still touched on those strategic pillars, but that wasn't the focus. The focus was really on the movement, addressing what the issues and challenges were, and then the bright future became really compelling and engrossing human story because there was movement from one state to another using the clarity story structure.